Hello, welcome to my November budget review. I love reviewing my monthly budgets because it makes me make sure I'm keeping things going in the right direction financially. And I'm a spreadsheet nerd, so I keep mine in a spreadsheet. So let's just jump right in. I ended up saving more than I was expecting to in the month of November, so I'm very excited to go through this. Now, in the spreadsheet, we always start at the top with income, and my W-2 income is usually my highest income. I had a goal of $650 take-home pay from my W-2 job, and I actually brought home $1,891, which is amazing. That's a good, healthy amount over goal, which, of course, that was a really low goal anyway, and that's because I had a spending challenge for the month of November where I challenged myself to cover all of my variable expenses with side work and leave my W-2 income to just cover my 4 fixed expenses, which we'll go through in a minute. Luckily, since I did make so much more over that W-2 goal, I was able to save quite a bit, which we'll talk about that in a second as well. And then rental income is my next line, which $0 income. You guys, you know the tenant story, I'm sure. If you haven't, nightmare tenant, it's now vacant. He is gone. He's left a mess. It's time to clean it up and get rid of that property. So it's okay. No income, but it is okay. And then my YouTube income, I had a goal of $180. I knew it was going to be around there, and it was $178.78. And then support is my next line item. I have zero expectation or goal here, but so many of you lovely people choose to support me through PayPal or Venmo as well, which is amazing. And you guys gifted me with $136.11 in November. So thank you, Carol, Amy, Derek, Elizabeth. You guys are amazing. I saved $36.11 of that, but the other 100 from Carol I did put towards my side work, which I'm just realizing now I need to fix that. That should only be $36.11 because that 100 from Carol is captured in the side work. So that's my bad. Just pretend that says, pretend that one isn't there. And then high yield savings account interest. This is all of my savings most of my savings are sitting in a SoFi high yield savings account, and it was at 4.2 for I think all of November, so that gained me roughly $130. It's hard to tell exactly now because I have it separated into different vaults, and they each get their own interest, so it's broken across 4 different things, but it's roughly $130. And then side work. So this was the challenge I had mentioned earlier. I challenged myself to make $1,000 in side work, which for me is working for my brother, Uber Eats, and Instacart so far. And I did not hit my goal, but I made $669.05. So yay. It's pretty good. It was like $25 shy of my variable spending for the month, so I was $25 away from hitting my spending goal. And some of you had mentioned if I did count the money from the $36.11 from Amy, Elizabeth, and Derek, I would have hit my goal. I would have gone over by $11. But all 3 of you had mentioned specifically the Homestead Fund in your little blurb or comment with the donation. So therefore, I specifically allocated that money to savings in the Homestead Fund, which is why I didn't count it in my side work. I hope that makes sense. And so a little over $3,000 altogether made for November, which is awesome. Now let's go down to the expenses. The first one is rent. I am staying with my aunt right now, and thank goodness that is $500 a month. Health and dental insurance. This is through the state marketplace based on my income, $42.22 a month. And since I am staying at my aunt's, I'm not worrying about utilities, so electricity, gas, and internet are all $0 at the moment, as is Mohila, my student loan servicer. I have all federal student loans, all with Mohila. They've been on administrative forbearance because of the SAVE program litigations. Payments are coming back for February, but for November it was still a $0 payment. My gym membership is $67 a month, and that's what it was. So those, oh no, one more. Netflix, $22.99. So rent, insurance, gym, and Netflix are my 4 fixed expenses at the moment that I was trying to cover with W-2 work. So luckily we definitely surpassed that goal. And then food and household onward are the variable things I was trying to cover with side and gig work. So on to the food and household. I had a goal of $250. I actually spent $267.23, which I'm excited about. Even though it's over my goal, it's still quite a low number for me. I normally go quite a bit above that because, I don't know, for some reason food always sneaks up on me. But I think because of the challenge, it kept me very mindful of it. So I was definitely much closer to my target this time, which is great. And then same with gas and car wash. I had a goal of 200, but I actually spent 105.30, which is well below goal, which is amazing. I did fill up 2 more times in addition to what I've factored in here, but those were for work trips and I got reimbursed mileage, so I actually made more back than I spent in gas, and it worked out well. Pet/vet. I knew I had a vet appointment for Piper. It ended up being a little bit less than I thought it would be. However, her new prescription cat food is a little deadly. So I actually spent $281 on 1 vet appointment and 2 bags of food. I'm going to have to beef up the pet budget going forward, but it's totally fine. And then investing and donating. I didn't know if I'd be able to do those, and so I did. And while I'm here, I just want to mention, because I always forget to mention it, I do still invest in a 401k. My company started offering a 5% 401k contribution match back in September, and I signed right up for it. And so I do still contribute to a 401k every 2 weeks, every paycheck. What I'm referring to here is investing above and beyond that 401k. I just have not done any additional in a few months, I think, at least. I've been bad about it, but it's okay. Savings is where I've been focusing. So I didn't know if I'd be able to save this month, so I had a $0 goal, but I actually was able to save $1,000, which was so awesome. So awesome. I got that Homestead fund really juiced up with that one, which we'll talk about in a second. So excited about that. And then spending $0 goal, but I spent $25. Bought some clothes at Goodwill. And then I spent $15.50, and that was on parking. So expenses totaled $2,326, which is well below income. And by, expenses, savings was factored in there as well. So it's not really an expense, but, an output, I guess, from my checking account. So that's cool. And now we'll just pop down to the different savings accounts. My emergency fund ended the month with $36,404 in there. My emergency fund and my 3 sinking funds are just growing by accruing a high yield account interest. So that is awesome. And annual expenses is up to $2,023. Car, vet, and medical, $2,014. The fund fund's up to $2,007. And the homestead fund. I started November with $0 in the homestead fund, thanks to you guys. And of course, the $1,000 additional from my work pay was able to really kick that off pretty great in November. I'm very excited about that. And then my student loans is the one debt that I have and the one balance that's there hanging out. It's not a black cloud over my life anymore because I've mentally compartmentalized it back into its place, so I don't have chronic ongoing stress about this like I did for many, many, many years. But they're there. Yeah. And that's it for my spreadsheet, though. I'm pretty excited about the numbers and how things turned out for November. But in addition to that, I haven't gone through like my overall year at a glance spreadsheet with you guys for how many months now? I'm not really sure, but I'm just going to pop over there real quick. I mentioned my 401k contributions, so I do just want to share those with you guys. So this is, like I said, my year at a glance spreadsheet, basically, where I just track everything. And admittedly, I've kind of fallen off the bandwagon with keeping up to date with this perfectly every month. So some things are a little weird, but I did try to update it as best as I could for November. So up in this first section here is just my incomes. I'm just keeping track of those, and then like really fell off the wagon with keeping track of my rental properties income and mortgage payment last few months. I definitely need to rectify that for tax season. But then the next bit down here is just I keep track of when my bills are paid every month. But this is really what I wanted to focus on down here is my assets, just because I do want to show that, my 401k is growing, which is awesome. But yeah, I just have my emergency fund, my 3 sinking funds lumped together, a real estate savings, which is made up of half the rental properties emergency fund, and then half of a little chunk I've saved from a previous job. And then my rental property is just the value of my property from when it was last appraised, which was 2020, when I was going through the purchase process. Obviously, its value is incredibly different today, but I'm not changing that. I'm just reflecting, it was appraised at $43,000. And then I'm just subtracting out what I have left on the mortgage. So that's where I got that $13,000-ish dollars. Until it's officially appraised, I'm just going to leave it as is. But the next thing is my 401k. And my balance collectively at the moment is sitting at $71,089. So it is growing a little bit over time. I'm not doing huge contributions just because my W-2 income isn't huge. But it's still something, and it's still growing, of course, with market growth. And same with my Roth. I've only contributed to that in September. I'm just not going hard on the retirement savings. Eventually, I'm sure I'll get back to prioritizing it again, but it's just not at this time in my life. And then my health savings account, I had to use it last month to cover expenses associated with going to the doctors. So my insurance is cheap, but there's a reason it's cheap, you know what I mean? I haven't contributed to that this year either. Fundrise is my crowdfunded real estate investing platform. It's been okay. I mean, it's going up slowly. Nothing crazy lately, but that's all right. Quite the opposite for crypto. I put $500 in, I think, Bitcoin and Ethereum or whatever it's called back in 2020. And I haven't touched it. I haven't added more. I haven't subtracted from it. It's just doing what it does in the background. I don't even really care about it. I just think it's funny to peek at it every now and then, especially lately, considering it's now at $1,387. Obviously, that could plummet to zero at any second. I have no expectations for crypto. I don't even care about it. Everyone was doing it at the time, so I just did. And yeah, that's where it's at the moment. And then my one liability is my student loans. But overall, doing all right. I have a positive net worth despite such an egregious federal student loan balance. I'm still doing all right. So, it's all I can ask. As long as this graph still keeps going positive, that's all I care about. That is all I care about. That's everything, though. That is November in a nutshell. The spending challenge with side work and gig work, I am continuing for December. It's been a bit of an expensive month already, even though we're only a few days in, but it's been mostly associated with the rental property and all of the damage and literal shit that the tenant left behind for me. So it's going to be an expensive month, but luckily, the investment property is its own separate finances from my own personal finances. So it's all good. It's going to be fine. I'm just going to do what needs to be done to get that place cleaned up so that I can sell it. And several of you have mentioned, why don't I go there myself and clean it up myself to save money. And I hear you. I totally get it. I just, in my mind, that doesn't quite make sense to me, because not only have I never been to Kansas City, but so it'd be kind of like a fish out of water. But, you know, between airfare to get there, a hotel to stay there, a rental car to get around there, and then I would have to go and purchase like trash bags and cleaning supplies and gloves, a hazmat suit for sure, and then just trying to get my head around renting dumpsters or having dumpsters delivered and put there, and then literally I would have to move all of the trash myself. It's like big trash, it's big furniture, it's big, and there's just so much of it. I think it would take me probably a week. I don't know, and I don't know how to do. I just don't know. I just don't feel comfortable doing all of that, and like unclogging the shower and replacing the toilet, and like there's so many things beyond my comfort level of skill, especially when I'm in a place that I don't know and have zero tools or anything with me. Like I'm a relatively handy person, luckily, but I think that situation would stress me out so much, and plus all of the like costs associated with it. I know the cleanup is going to be very expensive. I'm still waiting on the bids from different companies, so I don't exactly know what it's going to be like, but it doesn't quite make enough sense for me to do that, in my opinion. For me to go there and do that, it seems incredibly stressful, and then that's time I'm away from being able to be here and take boat trips and things like that and make income. It's just not something that I'm comfortable doing, even though it could potentially save a good chunk of money. Like the headache and the unknown, and me not being familiar with Kansas City whatsoever, and just trying to navigate that, it would be not worth it, in my opinion. I guess, which sounds shitty, but it's just the truth. Like that, I would rather just, you know what, let's just pay more and have, you know, a cleanup team that is prepared and ready and has all of the manpower and tools and equipment and things that they need to do that kind of thing. That makes more sense to me, and I hope that makes sense. He just made it a point to be a complete shithead before he moved out for whatever reason, despite all of the chances and late rent he got away with. And it just sucks that there's such shitty people out there, but there is, and I don't want to deal with that anymore, which is why I'm just so looking forward to getting rid of this property. And cool, you know, real estate investing isn't for me, at least not long distance and not in the way that I've been doing it. So I'm just gonna tap out. I'm okay with it. I've got other ideas, other avenues of income, other things to, you know what, you know, forward, onward, upward. It's all going to be good. It's going to be good. Just got to get through this. So thank you guys so much for watching. I promise I'm going to do an October budget review, because that was a big month for me. It'll just, you know, it's coming. I'm just scattered. Thank you guys so very much for all of your support and lovely comments through this whole process. It means a ton to me. Oh, always. Thank you for being here, and I will see you guys again very soon.